Great. Okay. Well, sticking with TikTok, but moving away from Canada now to our neighbours to the south. Back in episode 13, we talked about the TikTok ban, the fact that the US government was trying to force the sale of TikTok to an American company or an American-owned company. How's that been going? Have we got any updates on that one?
Not so much. The biggest thing that one of the guys at our office sent this article along to me, and it was kind of interesting. It was from Reuters, and it was talking about how there's some talk out there that TikTok is working on a clone that could potentially run independently of the TikTok mothership, if you will. So it would be a US-specific clone of TikTok. So that would allow users to continue to use the app, but not have all their data accordingly or allegedly not flow back to the parent company. I think it's a kind of a smart idea if that is the case and if that is something that would come to fruition. But one thing that is a little bit curious to me is, let's say they go and make this clone. Is the fact that they've made this clone and are calling it independent of ByteDance and the larger TikTok, is that still enough to get around this ban? I don't know, right?
Sure.
You know, if they went and cloned it, and even if there's, let's say, a head office for it in the States somewhere, is that enough? And I guess that's the big thing that we would have to kind of wait and see. But it is interesting with the TikTok ban that there was a lot of discussion about it when it was going through the processes in the States. Kind of died off a little bit. So I'm wondering, are we just waiting now until it gets closer to the date and it's going to all ramp up again? But it'll be interesting to see where that ends up. But that's kind of the word on the street from, according to Reuters, is that they're working on this clone.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think what you're saying is right about the fact that as we near the end date, I do think that things will start to ramp up and we'll hear more and more about it, whether that is about whether it is going ahead or isn't going ahead or what's going to happen there. And I think the clone thing is an interesting angle as well, I guess, because while it may make the government happy, is it going to keep the users happy? And will it start to diverge is the other thing. You know, it's kind of like it may start off as an identical clone of TikTok, but as the weeks and months progress, do they start having different features or different restrictions? Or yeah, it would be interesting to see how.
Or even to that point, like if you're kind of working in two playgrounds where you have the US version and the rest of the world version, I would be really curious to see how content starts to work in one and the other when different trends emerge in somewhere in the world, and those trends really aren't crossing paths, because if you're a US user, you're not seeing some of the trends that are maybe occurring over in other parts of the world and vice versa. So they could actually kind of take on a bit of a personality of their own, each of them. And then for us in Canada, the question would be, well, where do we fall in all of this? Does the US clone end up becoming a US, England, or EU, potentially Canada? What does that look like? So there's still lots to be determined here. I've kind of said, and I said on the episode originally, with no insider information whatsoever, I just don't see this happening. This ban, I just don't. Something's going to happen.
I think we both agreed on that at the time, and
yeah.
Until we hear more, I don't think either of our opinions have changed.
Nope, not whatsoever.